Who's this
Jimmy
Jimmy?
Lewis.
Who you talking about? Jimmy something? Jimmy Witherspoon? Or
Nobody knew who he was.
Lewis.
Jimmy.
Who's this Jimmy? Jimmy.
Lewis.
Jimmy.
Who's this Jimmy?
Jimmy Lewis.
Who's this Jimmy?
Lewis.
Who's this Jimmy?
Just kept on going.
Live from Pahrump, Nevada, the Valley of the Dirt People, it's Tech Talk, Taco Tuesday, with your hosts, Jimmy Lewis and Logan Tyler.
That's good. Whoa, look at that. Thank God that somebody's paying attention around here. And it's not me. Welcome to Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, the quietest podcast on the planet. Welcome to the show. Glad you could be here. Public service announcement. I should have just ran this as the start of the show. So you be careful with what you wish for around here. I just want you to know. Yeah, I'm loaded. Okay. Tuesday, we're not going up against World Series, New York mayoral races. We don't care about this stuff. There's nothing going on in the world that's more important than you and your motorcycle or motorcycle product-related question. I can answer 9 out of 10 of those without referring to a reference manual. And if you want to know what's important in this world, well, it's sponsors. That's right. This show would not be possible with the help of some of our fine sponsors, my fine sponsors. And I'm not going to tell you who they are. Super top secret. I need to send them invoices, and then I can talk about them. Wouldn't that be cool? Just kidding. Doing it solo tonight for the love of the sport and the joyous times I've had riding my motorcycle. This is how I give back. But it may be because of some community service that I have to do, and I'm using this as that. So you decide. We're all here. I answer questions if you ask them. So mostly you ask them in the chat. And now the sound's working, everything's caught back up. Evidently, you can start chatting your questions away. My chat's working this week, which is good. But this show also, well, here goes your sponsors. Not be possible without the Climb X1 helmet. This is the new Climb Adventure helmet that they have come out with, and I got my hands on one, and it's a very, very, very nice helmet. Yes. So if you want to be like all the cool guys and wear the coolest helmet, get this. I've only used it a little bit. I've been using it riding an electric bike, and so electric bikes are already quiet, and this helmet is really quiet. And they've improved a lot of things from their previous generation of helmets. Number one is the visor. The whole visor, the way it clamps down. That was kind of, for me, that was probably the weak point on the old helmet. But it has like push button visor adjustability. The vents are super easy open. Climb X1 Alpha, which is a ECE DOT helmet. It's carbon fiber shell. It's got the Colroyd. It's like the super absorbing stuff inside of there that makes it really nice. But big fan of the Climb helmets. They're lightweight, and if there's one thing that you can tell that actually shows up in tests is lightweight helmets are better for you. The price doesn't matter, and that's an expensive helmet. I want to say that it's a almost $900 helmet, kids, but stuff is not getting cheap these days. So, and if the fit of the old helmet was good, you'll like the fit of this. For me, it's a little bit on the, I would say a little bit on the round side. I would like something just a little bit more oval, but it's once it breaks in on my head or my head breaks in on the helmet, whatever works, I'm pretty happy. So Climb, big sponsor of the show, and I'm also wearing one of the new Climb t-shirts. So some of the casual wear out there. Also, Yamaha brings you this show. Yamaha, we posted up on our thing today. Yamaha's collaborating with Electric Motion to bring an electric motorcycle to the mix. So in case you didn't know, that's what you know. And the peanut gallery wants to know, how did the Bernardo won that race? How did Bernardo won that race? Victor, English, please. English. Yeah, he started with "What's up?" and then he's trying to type so fast that he can't get the words out there. Bernardo did win 2 out of 3. I'll tell you that. But when it mattered, even though he already won 2 out of 3, and that makes him the overall winner of the evening. When it mattered, I begged basically Gene to let me go again, let me try one more time, for no particular reason other than I just felt like I had something in me. So the lap time, we're talking about the Gene Woods Racing Experience down in fabulous Las Vegas on the Fremont Street Experience, at the very end of Fremont Experience, right past Denny's, right place next to the place where you throw hatchets, or you can go upstairs and sing karaoke, but you really want to go to the Gene Woods Racing Experience. I might be doing this podcast from that location in a week or two. They actually have a podcasting studio in there, believe it or not. But back to the real reason I'm talking about this. On my last race, the lap time we were shooting for was 18.5. 18 seconds, 0.5. And I got in this cart. I did one lap in it. I knew I was going to shatter that lap record. My average, not just one lap, my average was 18.3. So don't believe anybody when they tell you it's all about the cart. It's really the driver. So, okay. And if you ask a good question, I will remember who you are, and I will get you a free kart race down there. So if you're ever, if you're coming to visit Vegas, ask a good question, and I'll get you hooked up. Maybe you can invite me to use the second pass that you get, and we'll go skidding around there. Mark Daniels put a new fuel pump in his KTM 990 today. That is, why have I done that before? Because it's an external fuel pump, correct? Yeah, it is. It's actually down under the skid plate. I'm starting to remember this. There's a gravity feed into a fuel pump that pumps it up into the carburetor. Unless his is a fuel injected one, and then I have no idea because mine is the old school carbureted KTM 990. Yeah, and we have another exciting episode of Rooster Endo. We've got entries this week, probably because I posted up on the YouTubes. I put up some episodes, and then people can actually watch those because nobody wants to watch this show live. So they were good and got some Rooster Endos in there. And Mark tells me, no, it's inside the left fuel cell because it's the FI bike. See, somehow I knew that. Mark, let's see what I got for me tonight. I was going to maybe keep it on the... Yeah, but I got some of this. Milagro Silver. Just a good, easy sipping tequila. If you don't know, on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, we do like to sample some adult beverages from time to time, maybe every time. And tonight I'm going to pour some of that, or nothing else is within reach. I decided to start the show about 10 minutes before I got started, so that's where we're at. If you're in one of our Facebook groups that it's watching, I think my personal page watches this. There's a couple more of the groups, some of the dual sport and fuel injection groups and stuff like that. Lots of stuff like that. I was going to answer one question that I wanted to talk about on last week's show, but I forgot. There was a post where a guy, and I was going to probably a newer rider, was complaining about his KTM TBI or TPI bike. I think it was a TBI. I think it was a newer one. And he was complaining about how he overfills the oil all the time. and he asked it in a way that just got him a lot of hate. And I mean, people are, I don't know. And I think I've brought this up before. I know I've brought it up before because I actually have a similar thing. I've overfilled that thing all the time. And it's just, you're pouring into a small hole. It's kind of hard to see it when it kind of fills up there. I'm impatient. And so I have this overfilling thing. So I was actually reading through the comments to see how people would respond. And people, there's the group that told them to take the oil injection off, throw it away, it's junk, and just premix the gas. there was the other group of people that told him he was an idiot because he didn't know how to pour oil out of a jug, or he didn't know how to guesstimate the measurement of oil that he should be putting in there. And then my buddy Jim shows up at my house the other day, and he brought me a turkey baster, and he said, "This is the answer to that question." And I'm like, "I don't remember asking you," but somehow he must have heard. So, and somebody did in the comments, and I don't think it was Jim, that, because I don't think he comments on Facebook posts, not that I know of, or he hasn't bombarded me with the answers yet. But somebody did mention that you could use a turkey baster if you wanted to do it, so it doesn't spill, so you don't have a funnel. Because if you put a funnel in there, the action of the funnel, it just funneling a lot into a little. If you're not really slow with pouring the oil into the funnel, if you kind of get, like, I'm going to ram this oil in here, kind of like what I do, it goes down, and then like it fills up way quicker than you think, and the funnel's still halfway full, and then you're done. So having done that in the past, I experienced that, and I would say that I'm not the most patient person with this, but I have some experience with things. You'd think I would know better, but anyway, this guy's had a really good question. Turkey baster is the answer if you want to be careful and a little bit more precise, because at least then, if you're kind of having to squeeze it out, if you'd suck the oil into the turkey baster and then you're using the squeeze to put it back in, when it starts getting to the top, you can stop, or it gets really close, you can release it and it'll kind of suck it back up. So, because it's not that I don't mind having a little bit of oil on my bike, but that's just in a dirty spot, and then dirt gets up there, and then the dirt falls down, and then you have to take the gas tank off and wash it before you do the top end, and all the sub problems that come from doing all those things. So, thanks, Jim, for doing that. And Bulletproof makes a KTM funnel. I remember when they used to make the ones, there was a couple companies making ones to fill the oil, like the side cover, the oil fill on the side cover. And I'd heard about people making, like special, like dry brake style funnels for that. I mean, I think IMS had to make one because their tank was so intrusive, it was hard to get the cap off. You couldn't actually get the cap off that oil injection nozzle, which is right up by the, right in front of where your gas tank fill is. And then if you have a steering stabilizer, everything gets kind of a little crowded up in that area. So Victor says he wants to call because he's stuck with the damn XR400 tranny. Well, he should have just told me he was stuck with a tranny, and then I would believe him. But having a problem with an XR400 transmission, that's a different thing. So yeah, Victor, go ahead. I'll plug you into the switchboard, and we'll see what we can do for you if you do actually call, because I'm not gonna push that many buttons. I think my phone has enough battery, and I'm gonna pour myself a little something here while I'm waiting for that phone to ring. Yeah, that's the other thing, is if you are timing in, there's a little bit of a delay. So sometimes the messages in the chat take a little bit to get to me. If you're listening to this as a podcast or something, you can always throw comments up there. Somehow they all get back to me. Or you can always send me an email. My name is Jimmy. That's JIMMY @DirtBikeTest. And that way you can do it. So there's my phone with my message. Odele, ¿qué pasa?
Not much. How are you?
Hold on, wait. How come you're not going through the board, the soundboard?
I have no idea.
It's my system. It should be working. Does that work? There we go. I think you're in the show now.
Okay. Hey, good evening.
Victor, welcome to Tech Talk Taco Tuesday.
Thank you. Well, I've been working on that dinosaur for the last week.
The
I
the
did.
the XR 400.
Yes, I've been working on it. I had a mishap when I was riding. I tried to start it, and something got stuck when I kick started. Well, went home, push started the thing, went home and opened it, and I saw that the kickstart sprocket was a little of a damage. Open it up, change it up, put it back together, clean everything inside first, like look for like metal pieces and everything. Found some, wash it off with diesel, did a whole thing on that side, put it back together, and did it again. I still hear some crunchy noises. So I open it up again. I have a donor bike somewhere, and I change the main clutch thing and the idler sprocket as well. So now everything on that side is clean and near, you may say. And I put it back together again, and I tried to kickstart again. I didn't hear anything. This time on the third kick, the kickstart got stuck. So I'm thinking there is something on the other side of the transmission. What do we recommend you to do?
So when I think when we talked about this before, at some point I said, well, they never break. so
I thought the same thing for a long time.
so it and so the gear on the Kickstarter. So there's the Kickstarter shaft, and there's the engagement. There's the when you push on the Kickstarter shaft, it engages the Kickstarter shaft onto the gear that actually spins what we call an idler gear that goes to the clutch basket. Correct?
Yes, sir.
The gear that broke was the actual one on the Kickstarter.
It had just tip of the
Broke a tooth off.
just one off. So I changed that.
Okay.
I checked.
Okay.
I checked that. Yeah, tell me.
Okay. So when did you ever find that piece?
Yes, I pulled it out.
You pulled it out. Okay. Was there any other metal any place in like I say, when you cleaned out that motor, the one that had the broken piece, was there any other metal any place in that engine? Any other pieces of things?
It was shavings on the bottom. I clean everything out. I wash it.
Shavings.
I pull out the filter. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So okay, you pull the filter out, and the filter had like shavings in it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So something else is wrong. Like there's got to be something that could be pretty bad. And the reason I'm thinking about, because usually XR400s know, once they break in, like you're not going to get any shavings or any kind of weird stuff until something starts going wrong. And were the shavings aluminum or metal?
It was metal.
Metal. Okay, this is bad.
Uh-oh.
So how many hours do you think are on this? Lots of hours. Okay.
Yep.
So what I'm thinking is that like you said, is there something deeper inside the engine? I think I mentioned to you at some point the only way that I could see that gear breaking is somehow something bound is binding up, and you pushed on the Kickstarter really hard, something bound up, and that tooth was kind of what would give.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know if something in the transmission, like if maybe a clip inside the transmission is allowing some of the gears to come. But when it's riding, the shifting is really good.
Yeah, nothing changed. I had to push start it twice.
Push after you broke this Kickstarter.
Yeah, I pushed it off a hill over there in Lancaster. No, not Lancaster. I'm Lucerne, and rolled away to Big Bear through the backside like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just that there was no noise when riding or anything.
Huh.
That's the weird thing. So I think I'm gonna open the other side, but I don't know. I watched it.
But so you had a donor motor. You took out the other Kickstarter. You said they were different years, so it was a different. Was the gear on the back of the Kickstarter different?
No, the only difference was the thickness of the shaft.
The shaft coming out of the case.
Yes, sir.
And is there any way anything in there could be bent? Like the shaft wasn't leaking oil.
Nothing is bent. I removed the basket, and I exchanged the basket and the idler sprocket as well. I changed those three parts,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing else seems touch or scrape or anything. That's
Yeah.
that's the weird thing. It's like something is locking up in the tranny size where the shifter drum is, or something. Something is going on over there probably. So I gotta do the other side.
The other side means split the cases.
Yep.
Yeah, but I don't know if you're gonna. It's gonna. I mean, either it's gonna be something that's pretty obvious. You know, you're gonna see this, but it would, because it shouldn't just happen when the kickstart. Like it'd be like almost like the bike backfired, and then that caused a shock to go through the. The whole thing, but you're saying it didn't backfire, didn't do anything wrong. But I'm thinking if there's something else that's causing metal to be there, maybe there's something in the transmission that maybe when it's spinning pretty fast, it doesn't they stay apart. But maybe when it's like low speed, the gears are kind of like locking up, and then somehow there's you can't really have two gears engaged at the same time. Just transmissions just don't like that. And then yes, but I've never heard of this problem. I can't diagnose it. You're basically screwed.
All right. Well,
yeah. But so when you push down, so right now when you're pushing on the starter, did it break again?
No, it went once. I was just trying to.
You pushed it through smoothly and it was nice.
It was nice. Second time it was nice.
And
third time I halfway it just locked up, and I didn't want to force or anything. I'm
no,
gonna leave it like.
No, that's bad. Yeah. There's something there. Like I said, the reason it broke the first time is probably whatever is locking up. It just happened all at once. So there might be something in the transmission, like a clip that came off of a transmission shaft, or there's some. I don't. That's the only thing I can think is one of those clips, the circlips on the transmission shaft, and it's just allowing two gears to, or maybe the shift star is not indexing properly, so it's kind of getting stuck in between. And what you can do, I mean, because you have the decompression lever, is you could try starting it in different gears.
I see.
You know what I mean? Try starting it, because you're trying to start it in neutral, correct?
Yes.
Maybe neutral really isn't. And when you push on the Kickstarter shaft, does it actually try to get the wheel to move?
No, that's the first thing I noticed. It won't move.
The wheel won't move.
And the piston goes up and down freely. When I take off the idler, I could spin the clutch thing slowly, but it will spin like nothing. It's something on the tranny probably.
Yeah.
On the other side.
Well,
yeah.
Well, that's why you sell it, or do you just tell somebody it works perfect and don't let them start it? Just
should I put run one part? All right.
Yeah.
I'll try my best, and I'll let you know how it's going to come up in about a week or two.
Okay, Victor. Glad we could be of some of assistance, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody. That was Victor, our resident Mexican smartass, who's always leaving us crazy messages in the chat. Now he has a real problem, and he sobers right up. tries to help us out. Next time it'll be CR500 problems. At least he could sell the CR500. Okay. What was the other thing? So yeah, the turkey baster was a good solution, but I couldn't believe how many people were just beating on this guy because he was asking a valid question, and since he was a new guy, everybody just told him what to do. So yeah, bad on you guys that beat everybody up on the internets, because you're really badasses. So, okay, what else was there? What else was there? Questions? I think I had another tech question in one of our actually Roosterendo guys, Greg asked us a tech question. He said, my shock and linkage is getting peppered and textured from stones flying off the front tire. And he wants to know if he should get a skid plate with a linkage guard. Well, here's where I could just be mean and like, what do you mean it's getting peppered? It's rocks from the front wheel. Of course it is. You should try, doing extreme enduro and then just dragging it all over the stuff. But yeah, if you have ever looked at a high mileage bike, especially ones that are ridden kind of more in the desert and in rocky terrain, you start looking at the undersides of the swing arm and like the linkage, we'll call it the knuckle inside of the linkage that hangs down. That's going to get peppered. I don't know that the shock, maybe the leading edge of where the shock bolts onto that knuckle might be taking some hits, but I've never seen anything bad come from just the spray of rocks and stuff on that. The skid plate with the linkage guard is mostly designed for riders that want to glide over something that I always compare it to like, a sack of nuts that's just getting drug on, whether it's logs or rocks when you're going over that kind of stuff with the swing arm still extended. And it's really problematic when you're kind of doing a lot of slow speed stuff where you kind of come up on something and the linkage actually hits before the rear wheel. I mean, the better riders will actually try to get it all the way up onto the rear wheel, but if you're kind of going slow speed and your linkage falls down on the whatever it is, typically logs, sometimes rocks, before that wheel gets there, you lose all of your drive. And the same thing can happen when you hit, if you land on a rock on a skid plate. Like when a bike bottoms out, they're designed so that they don't, when they completely bottom out, that they don't really run the frame rails and everything that far down. There's like a limit. And this was a problem when suspension started getting longer travel, that the cases would actually go down into the dirt. And of course, if you're landing on top of a peaked jump, there's not much you can do it. But if you flat land and you're, on some bikes, the foot pegs would dig down into the dirt. That's problematic. But when that happens, the linkage actually gets pulled up, because the idea of the linkage is it actually allows a longer shock travel as opposed to like what a PDS is, which is PDS is like on the KTMs with no linkage. It's called linkageless suspension. So that would be a shock mounted directly to the swing arm, and what PDS it was progressive damping system, and it was essentially a second piston inside of the shock, so it could have two distinctly different valving characteristics. Position PDS, position progressive damping system. It was it was position sensitive shock valving. I'll get those. If you know exactly what it means, then put it in the chat so I can remember, because now my brain's misfiring and I haven't even had very much of this, enough of this, the usual. But when the shock goes up, that the linkage, the knuckle is through the linkage is activated to move at different rates, and generally when it compresses, the linkage pushes the shock up farther, and so it goes out of the way. Once the swing arm kind of starts coming in level, gets a little bit unlevel of the chassis, that linkage is usually up pretty far into the so where it's not going to drag anymore. But that's should you get a skid plate with a linkage guard? Kind of depends if you want to protect it from the peppered. That would help that if that's a concern to you. But mostly those types of skid plates are meant to help the bike glide over things when you're slamming it into different things. So ask your questions and you shall receive answers. And that could be it. We could actually end the show right now, because I don't know, we got to do Roosterando. I don't have any more questions. And Victor says the sound is a little mild, or maybe he is going deaf. That's proper. Is mine? Mine's Reposado. What is this? No, it's mine's silver. I thought so. I like the silvers in the tequilas. Thanks to everybody who sent me tequilas. A guy was supposed to get me a bottle last weekend, but I never showed up at the ride. That he was gonna. I didn't. They ran out of pizza. A guy invited me over for pizza, and they ran out. So my invite expired when the food went away. Let's see what else we have here on the questions. I don't think there's a whole lot. Nope. All finished. So Ben, like I know what I was going to bring up here. I was going to what's happening these days. Well, the big news today is that got released was Tomac riding the new KTM. Eli Tomac moved from Yamaha over to KTM, and what does his KTM have on it? A cable clutch. And there's a lot of speculation about this. Why? He just famously likes the cable clutch. And I didn't hear anybody actually ask him about it. I saw someone was talking to Roger DeCoster about it, who basically said that was something that he wanted. They talked to some of their engine development and design guys over in Europe. They made one. And when I thought about this, I'm like, it couldn't be that hard. And it's exactly, because they can't change the center cases, but all you'd have to do is make a mechanical arm that does the same thing like the old, like if you've ever taken apart a motor and you've seen the way that they activate through the cable, it's just a eccentric shaft that pushes on the arm. So it's just a few different parts you would have to change to make this. And there it is. And they said that they actually, from doing this exercise, they learned some stuff because of the way Eli likes his clutch to feel and the leverage ratios and all this stuff, which you can do with a hydraulic clutch as well. And for sure that guy is, he rides the bike in 2 throttle positions, on or off. And then I think he does a lot of his controlling with the clutch. And I think the problem with hydraulic clutches is they typically self-compensate, where a cable clutch, because its position is kind of fixed other than they do have the adjustment up on the handlebar, the cable clutch lets you know when you're starting to overheat your clutch. If you have a hydraulic clutch, you don't feel it in the same way. And I think there is some of that in what Eli likes. And and I saw some people joke and say that every vet rider is going to be wanting this kit on their KTM now. So probably, I don't know. I like hydraulic clutches, always have. And I'm picky about which ones I like. And the ones that I like aren't the ones that most people like because, I don't know, like everything. We all have our personal preferences. I'll tell you what is Sano about this, and this is something that we've learned over time on bikes that have cable clutches, is that you look at the way that cable is mounted with that very stiff thing that keeps the cable nice and straight. Like those ones that do turns and all this stuff right before the cable, that's not good. Having a really stiff cable mechanism, holding mechanism, really helps the bike or the feel of the clutch, because there's flex in that, which makes it definitely different. So yeah, there's photos on the internet and there's photos right there on the screen. So, because I used to be a journalist. So, and Victor said he knew KTM riders had PMS. I don't understand that. You're gonna have to decode that to me. Hey, I could also read a poem from Jerry tonight. He wrote a special poem for me after I beat him at go-karts. Yes. What else was else is going on? I've been riding the Can-Am electric bike. Get my last days on the Can-Am electric bike in. I dropped a bombshell. I've got you in my pocket on the SSR 150, and it went 100. And that blew everybody away that it went 100. But it went 100 kilometers per hour. So 60 miles an hour. Not bad. But, yeah, pretty interesting. And so I've been riding those to kind of get the test done on that. We dropped our TTR 50 video last week. I think some of you guys saw that as well. And lots of stuff going on here. I don't know where Trevor's at. I think he's hiding. He's scared. What else is up? I think we are working on, what else are we working on testing here? Nothing new. It's too much work. So just doing the podcast, just putting in my 2 hours a week, answering all of the questions. And Jason Abbott says, can I make a reservation at Casa de Jimmy in January after the A1SX? Yes, but you have to go riding with me. That's the problem. Most people don't want to do that, but you would. You might want to go riding. Then you can be on the show. So just stay for a Tuesday night. That would work out. Okay. What other things? Let's move right into Rooster Endo, brought to you by Taco Moto. I have this segment all lined up. If you don't ask any questions by the time we get done with this segment, or you don't throw in, and if you send in a Rooster Endo and you're not watching, you're going to lose. So that's how this works. Rooster Endo brought to you by Taco Moto. That's tacomoto.co. They make all the things for your dirt bike, and if you want $100 off all the things, you send in your bike, a picture of your bike, a little explanation of what you've done to your bike, and a picture. I like to say a good picture, but it seems like that's above the skill level of most of you. So we do the best we can with what we got. The first one is from, he wouldn't even give me his name. So here we go. The first one, it's not that one. And it's not that one. And it's not the guys that are going to roll me. I think his name is E. So this is E's Rooster Endo submission. And he says it's a submission for Roost, ? Or Endo, ? This is his 2019 Husky FE 501. He has a Vortex ECU with questionable mapping, his words. EXP skid plate, SXS flag handguards, Scott's damper, not dampener, Scott's damper. Hand-me-down Pro Taper bars. Okay. Seat concepts. That's a good seat. A 3.1 A chair B's spelled out tank. He's trying to help me and says I say a Sherbis. But he has a Sherbis front disc guard. He has some knockoff rear shark fin. A Washougal front, a Desert IT rear, and Michelin mousses with 1550 gearing. That's E's bike. Who's afraid he's going to go unknown. He said, what would I do with a Takamoto gift card? I would put it towards having them remap this thing. My janky noodle arms get tired muscling this bike around the NorCal single track. But what he is good at doing is taking his photo and and adding like a rock. Why you should just use my head as a rock. How about that? We'll put my head right there and it's a rock. But watch out for the rock. Maybe he crashed into a rock. I don't know. But he's got a rooster and a rooster tail, and his photo is pretty bad. I mean, it's just a photo. Good body position though for looking like a turkey. The question is he actually? So is he as a turkey? Hold on, let me zoom this thing in here. Did he draw that on there, or is he riding with that? I'm not really sure. Maybe somebody can Help me out. No, that's all drawn in there. He's an artist, is what he is. And for that, you endo. So, okay. E, good shot. If you're in the chat, you can, I mean, if you can draw that well on photos, maybe we could use you here to do some stuff. Watch out, rock. I'm not really sure why that's there. Okay. So that's E's submission for the Rooster Endo. Next is Mike Brown. Mike Brown, Rooster Endo, 1998 Honda CR250 only, mods as a JB welded water pump that's held up for 15-ish years. Started second or third kick. After sitting in a shipping crate for 6 years, all it needed was some fresh premix, and she roared to life. No punctuation at all. So that's why I really like that. So I remember that year. I think those are really good bikes, if I remember correctly. I know the 125 was. At least it was a really good handling bike. But anyways, I'm glad it roared to life, but I have questions. Because I'm going to show the next picture. And because if you look at the first picture, he's got the British flag there. He's got the British flag on his radiator shroud. And you look at the second picture, and it's an 800 number, so he's obviously in the States here. He's got the big American flag on the pail. So I think, mate, you're disrespecting. The American flag needs to be on the bike, and you can put the British flag someplace else. Not going to win any friends around here by not having the flag in the best spot. So for lack of punctuation, not a whole lot of JB welded water pump. I mean, I think that's pretty much the only way you're going to fix that thing, because my understanding is parts for these things are hard to come by, and I don't have a picture of their side. You should have given me a detail of that thing. It looks a little, it has the wet look going. So, endo. It's so easy to endo everybody when they're not here. My next contestant. It says, Jimmy, I'm entering my submission for the most endo of Rooster Endo. And there it is. This is Trent's 2023 KTM 300 XC. His mods are a tugger strap. That's good. Is it still attached, or is the only one on the front? I see the one on the front. Trailbound Co. bar bag. E-line pipe guard with flange guard. Smart. A Tusk skid plate. A Chirby's swing arm guards. Bolden graphics. Totally destroyed rear end, including the subframe. And a broken clutch master cylinder perch. He ended after hitting a rock at speed. He should have taken the red highlighter pen and just drew one into the thing. Got bucked off, and I'm pretty sure it landed on me, breaking my pelvis, shoulder, and a few ribs. Ouch. 3 weeks into recovery, and he's doing well. Really sad to be missing the fall desert riding. Well, I'm bummed out for you there too. So he did send a picture of his bike in really good condition there, sitting in the garage, waiting for his recovery so he can recover. The bike can recover. He's actually won before, so he said he included a proper photo of the bike to hopefully lower my blood pressure. My blood pressure rarely goes up. I just complain a lot, and then that takes care of it. And he's a past winner. He'd gladly cede the win to someone else because he is loving the show. And that's Trent. Thanks, Trent. Appreciate it. Your bike, well, did it endo? Because if you're pretty sure it landed on you, yeah. Let's see, hit a rock. I guess going forward. Not a lot of hit after hitting a rock at speed. Endoed. Okay, that's forward. It cartwheeled. At least it didn't loop out. Might have been better. Who knows? Let's see. Next submission is by the way, Tech Talk Taco Tuesday is brought to you by Yamaha, and they're introducing a new WR125. It's a $4,000 little mini dual sport bike, and guess what it has? It has variable valve timing to give it a long and wide power band, both low-end torque and high RPM power. Who'd think that Yamaha would release that technology on a little dual sport bike before running on something else? So just so you know, WR125 available at your dealers in November for about $4,000. Honda CRF50, watch out. That's all I can say. Let's see. My next one, Greg Bauer. I hope I put his... Here we go. Greg Bauer's bike. I'm Greg Bauer from Menifee, California, and he loves the show. Thank you. And here's the list. 2022 Husqvarna. Mark is just dropping endos like I am. Wow. And Joe Bummy is here in the chat. Let's see. The Rock is there because he's a rooster about to endo. So, is Joe Bummy? Is that E? Because you didn't put your name in the email. It's just E. There was some numbers, some codes like your racing number, but anyways, I sent one in. You hopefully got it. We'll find out. That's my beater. Yeah. Mark's double endos. I can't keep track because the chat's a little bit slow tonight, but I'm gonna go to Dean Kemp's question right now, just because Dean asked a question, I'm gonna answer it. Hey Jimmy, I put a 140 Pirelli on my T7 and it looks like a 150 width. Can I go to a 130? You could, but I think that's the right size, the 140. And if yeah, because tire sizing is it's, I mean, they all do it a little bit different, but I think when you want the wider tire, are you looking for a really small tire on the back of that thing? I find that the adventure bikes kind of like the kind of larger of the dirt bike size tires. I don't like the big. In fact, I used to not run the. I can't even remember the numbers on the size. I think it was a 150, and I would go to the 140 just because I liked it a little bit smaller. But I don't know, a 150 width, 150, 140. Yeah. You can go to any size you want, really. It's how does it work is the question. Okay, back to Rooster Endo, back to Greg's bike. 2022 Husqvarna FE501S, Taco Tidy Tail, Seat Concepts, BRP Submount, ODI Rogue, those are grips, Trailtech Voyager Pro, Vortex ECU, FMF Q4 muffler, Precision Concept suspension, Sherby's tanks, Kenneth Parker DT, DDC sprockets. Good choice. DDC, longtime sponsor of this show. In fact, our very first sponsor. PC Racing filter gasket. And he says, what should I buy with my Taco Moto bucks? I'm thinking of buying a Scott steering stabilizer, foot pegs, rear disc guard, or a tech question. And that's where he asks about the shock linkage getting peppered. Judging by the setup on this bike, I don't think you're doing extreme enduro riding, so I would not worry too much about the I wouldn't worry too much about the shock linkage needing any protection. So you can see it hanging down there like a nut sack, essentially. The bike, it's funny, this bike looks very, very standard. Not a lot of flash on this thing. And Mark says roost. Okay, Mark, explain yourself. I kind of it's funny because I look at this thing, and other than that big fender bag on the front fender, I go, that looks like one of my bikes, except I never ride the white ones. I made some of my orange ones white, but don't ride the ones. I like the ones without that linkage on the bottom, by the way. Yeah, it's got all the stuff done to it. I can't really see too many faults from this. It is one of the better pictures that we've received this time. It's not saying much, though. You know what you really need to get? You need to get like some sort of a tail bag section so you can get that weight off that front fender. I know it's probably only a jacket, right? And then you find out the guy's carrying a heavy-duty tube and 2 tire irons and a wrench up there. A Scott steering stabilizer or damper, as it were, would be a really good. You could put a dent in the price of that with your Taco Moto thing. Foot pegs, always a good mod. And you know, it's funny because I was talking to Cole from Fasst Company, because I run adventure foot pegs on my, we'll call them dual sport / adventure, more so the adventure or rally 500s that I have set up. And the reason is it just makes them more comfortable. I can get more leverage. I can get my feet out farther, walk around a lot more on the foot pegs. And I wouldn't run them for trail riding because they stick out too far. They're too wide. You know, that makes the bike too thick. But for when I'm down in Baja and, you know, doing rally kind of stuff, I like having those extra sized foot pegs. So that's not a bad choice either. So hopefully that, I don't know what you're going to buy with that. But we're going to put this out to the crowd. Yeah, Mark says it's clean and simple. I totally agree. I say this bike roosts. I'm right there with Mark. We think alike. Maybe it's because we're both drinking Milagro tonight. So congratulations on getting a roost. But that doesn't mean you win, Mr. Greg Bauer from Menifee, California. If you're in the chat, you could lobby for yourself. So I'm going to go to the chat, and anybody that's hanging out there can pick from our roost or endo submissions. You could pick Greg's bike. You can pick Zimmer's bike here, but he's going to forfeit the prize if he wins. You can pick Mike Brown, the guy who put the American flag on the bucket, not on his bike. You can pick that guy. You can also pick, not me, you can pick E, who I believe is Joe Bummy, who has a lot of fake names possibly. Endo. He just said the other bike endos. Joe Bummy. Oh, wait, no. Joe Bummy might be the guy that is the 89 250. Wait, wow. How? Mike Brown. So Mike Brown and Joe Bummy are the same person? I don't know. You guys and your screen names. It's hard to keep up for sure. So if you want to help me out with Rooster Endo, I know what I think, but if you want to change my mind, go ahead. That's how we do it here on the show. Joe Bummy is Mike Brown. Got it. So Joe Bummy is not the artist, better known as E. I watched a whole thing on Banksy the other day, which was kind of interesting. All the people trying to figure out who he was. That's the street artist, by the way. Art. You know, if you want to. Oh, you know what? Oh, I'd probably get in trouble, wouldn't I? You know what tonight is? Tonight's my wife's birthday. It's Heather's birthday, so I was gonna sing No, I wasn't. I'd say happy birthday to my wife because I'm doing Tech Talk Taco Tuesday on her birthday, and she's having a big art opening because she's a photographer. She's an artist, and that's this weekend. So I'm going to do that this weekend. I'm going to do something that's not dirt bikes, which is really, really weird. So, okay. Moving right along. Hey, I have another fan of the show. Matthew wrote in, and he wants to help us out here. He says, I hope you're good. I was listening to the show about the KTM not starting, but you probably forgot about that show already. You're correct. You got a question during the show about stuck down air forks that still had air. He says, I can help break down the issue, which is most likely due to all the positive pressure leaking into the negative air chamber. This will not release air from the fork, but move it all to the chamber that pulls down the fork. All air spring have a negative spring to give it small bump compliance and reduce top out on rebound. If a fork is stuck down, it's for sure due to negative pressure being higher than the positive pressure. So there's the answer. So somehow he was saying that something inside of there was causing the positive pressure chamber to get stuck in the negative pressure chamber and therefore pull the forks down. I'm sure that's probably could be a thing. I don't know enough about those internally. I've not torn them apart enough to see how that could happen, but I'm sure it could. So thanks, Matthew Sipes, for answering that question. And I do need to reach back out to you about the training thing. So we will work on that. What is everybody saying about the thing? Road Racer 3 gave Heather a happy birthday. That's nice. Mark Daniels, same thing. And Emerald Muke says the 89 reminds me of the glory days. Roost. Okay. Anthony says, hey Jimmy, can you do used bike buying advice? Yeah. Not that I want to promote anything I've got going on, but I have a lot of bikes for sale, and they're all magical. They're perfect. The price is right. It's right for my pocket and for your wallet. So I want your wallet to go into my pocket with money in it. I'll sell you bikes. So my used bike advice is don't buy bikes from anybody else. I have KTM 500s. I have some of them are set up as rally bikes. I have I think I'm selling my KTM 1090 and 1190. I'll sell those. I have a KTM 390. I have one more of those left. I have some KTM RFS bikes that I'll sell instantly. If you offer me enough money, I'll sell you. What else will I sell you? Any bikes for sale. Just show up with cash, and all. That's my used bike buying advice, Anthony. You can buy any of the bikes that I have for the right price. But in reality, do I have used bike buying advice? Yes. The more modifications that the bike has, the quicker you should turn and walk away. Other than modifications that you would have already done to the bike, knowing that the modification was going to make it better. And just because a bike has like an ECU and somebody cut the exhaust off of it doesn't mean that that's the best thing. So, yeah, the more stock, the better. If they have stock tires on it, that's really good usually, unless they're completely worn out and bald. But if they're stock tires and they're not used that much, that's usually a good sign. I don't mind it when I can come over and they can start the bike up cold. That was one of the things that I would like. Because sometimes if they've started them and they've run them, you just never know how they got it started. Maybe it doesn't start cold. Sometimes when they get them up and running to temperature, it's a little bit easier. I would typically, if I thought there was any reason, I've actually asked people to do an oil change. If I could do an oil change on the bike or just check it, but I also bought one that somebody just did an oil change, and then I started actually just sticking my finger into the oil fill hole and then kind of wiping the not the cap, but down below the cap, or getting my finger in there where I could see how much grime was inside of the motor. You know how black that was, because the oil is really clean, but the inside of the motor wasn't all that good. I've pulled, I've laid them over and pulled the drain plugs. The bikes have magnetic drain plugs on them. I've pulled it over and taken a look of that thing. The 89 is a cockroach and you can't kill it, says Clayt Ledman. Clayt Ledman. That 89 is a cockroach. I like that. Clayt Ledman's probably that's Australian for a really good bike, right? So, or is that your bike, or does he have 2 or 3 different accounts? Because that's Emerald Mark. Yeah, let's see if he's logging into each of his different accounts and giving it positive. It's because it's really good. Yeah, pull the clutch cover off and look inside. Same technique. Because sometimes, I put them up on the stands and I run them through the transmission sometimes, just to see, like I'm not like Victor, who just like kicks his bike until it breaks on the stand. I'll check that. I'll give it like a tug, like kind of wheel bearing. I'll rock the wheels kind of side to side. I'll push on the front brake and see how, if there's any slack in the headset and the shock linkage. Lift the wheel, unweight the wheel and see if it's loose. Just bearing kind of loose. Look closely at places where, if you are familiar with like where frames tend to stretch or crack, things like this. Sometimes look at the bolts that are in high, like seat bolts. Like take the seat bolt out and see if it's just roached or if it's nice, if it's cross-threaded. Because I've brought some bikes home that looked really nice, and then you like take the muffler off and the bolts are all cross-threaded. Things like this, and there's a lot of area specific stuff. Like some places, they're just really hard on chains and sprockets and brake pads, wheel bearings, things like this. But these might be things that you would probably just, as you get the bike, you're going to replace this stuff anyway. So maybe it's not that big of a deal. I've seen people that have, in areas like that when their chain sprockets and brake pads, wheel bearings wear out, the rest of the bike's actually pretty decent. And they're like, oh, I'm over. I'm just going to sell it. So Clayt Ledman says, all the emails were taken, so I just punched a bunch of keys. At least KTMs are in it. Let's see. And he says cross-threading works better than Loctite. For some people, this is true. So, Clayt, I'm looking how many KTM, KT, yeah, Cladle, I can't even pronounce names, so let's see. Give it some ugga-duggas. Yeah, you guys, you're running a little rich for me right now. I can't keep up with this stuff. So you got a couple minutes. I'm going to give it a few more minutes before we decide the rooster end. I'll throw them up on the screen one more time, just so we can see. We have E's bike, which is it's the rooster. We have Greg Bowers, a very standard looking Husky 501. We have Zimmer's Endode KTM 300. And Mike Brown's Sweet 89 Cockroach. So, those are the ones. Oh, and then yeah, so that's Mike Brown's other picture, and I think that's all the bikes. Just so you know, that's where we're at. Okay. Where's my? I lost my screen again. There we go. Wrong one. Greg Bowers. Okay, yeah. So me and Mark are on the same page, and Joe Bummy. Husky or KTM's are so boring. Roost the cockroach. So you're getting a lot of love there. Joe Bummy, who is actually Mike Brown, because I can't figure out. No, let's see. Can't figure out if both of those emails are the same. Actually, I used to be able to go. Well, when I had a co-host, we would actually check to see where some of the a 25. Okay, so Joe Bummy has an RFS and a 25 500. So now, well, if you lose, you could send pictures of those in. Unlike the poor guy like Greg, who probably that's his only bike, and then the guy who has to draw pictures of on his bike because it's so bad that it wouldn't win normally in its regular skin. So these are the things. Roosterendo, the crowd will decide. So we'll see. I got to see if Clayton Ladelman jumps back in, because I can't figure out how Joe's switching between his two YouTube accounts so quickly to give himself an extra bump. What else is going on? Haven't heard from Trevor for a few weeks. We don't know where he's at. They won the 24 hours on the industry class, dominated all the other magazines, and then disappeared. So not sure what's up with that. I think he should be doing more work for us and negotiating some ad contracts. By the way, thanks to some of our other sponsors, the Hot Shoe Hall of Fame. Don't forget to sign up to go to the Hot Shoe Hall of Fame awards thing. That is in January. You can, if you do sign up to go, you actually can get a ticket to the Mecum auction, which isn't cheap to do, by the way. That's coming up in January. If I remembered the date, I would tell you. And Joe says he only has one account. So it's not him and the other guy team, or maybe it's his buddy. They're teaming up to get this thing. You're getting close. You're getting close to winning. Where are you located, Joe, by the way? That's the other question. And what's up with the British flag? That's the other question. Guess just a couple questions here. Let's see if I can answer any other tech questions. Is there any other stuff coming up on the Facebooks? I'm not sure, but I do know that on our YouTube videos, a lot of times we have some comments, and I usually like to read some of those things off, which I'm going to do right now. So when you comment on one of our YouTube videos, we see it and we try to answer it, although I don't write the answer back because that takes a lot of work. And this is how this works. My brother-in-law wrote happy birthday on the Can-Am video. And Gibbs22 says, great video about the conquering the Big Bear thing. Chris Lewis, 8974, no relation, says on our CRF 450RX versus KX 450X, what's the better Woods bike? He says the YZ250FX is the best Woods 4-stroke. So considering the show is sponsored by Yamaha, we have to agree 100%. So Chris, good on you for doing that. What's the best little trail mountain bike? The Yamaha XT250 for the win. So again, we have to agree with that no matter what. So let's see. And YouTube wants us to help improve YouTube, and the answer is no thanks. I just got like 150 copyright violations today because I uploaded some podcasts, and that makes my life more difficult. So what else is going on? We talked about the KTM clutch. What other things were happening? I'm not sure. Looking at the chat again real quick. Brooks Bodley said, so sad that Yamaha let Tomac go, but I understand it's hard to choose between Jimmy and Tomac. There's only so much money. Nah, not really. Not really. I'm not really that. We're not really that cost effective. And then somebody said he's Mike's dad, Papa Willie. Any Dakar Rally training coming up? Yes, there's lots of Dakar Rally training coming up. And Joe Bummy, he's from Landers, California, outside of Johnson Valley. Well, when they have the earthquake, that's going to be beachfront property. I've seen the fault line. I know where the beach is going to be. Hopefully on the right side of that. And Mark Daniels has a question. It says funnel web filters. I've used them before. I have not had any issues with them. My take on them, and I never got to run, I always ran them with different oils in them, and I could never get them super clean. So I actually need to get a brand new one and try it with my favorite rock oil, water washable filter oil, and I would have a much better take on. But they have more surface area, but they also hold more dirt, and they also seem to be harder to clean. So I know Trevor's used them quite a bit. He might be able to have a thing, but he doesn't pay attention to this show. And Joe, he was going for a European look long before the T was split. Well, with that, Joe, since you're here, I'm going to have to agree with you that your 89, even though your name is Mike Brown, allegedly, your 89, I'm trying to fix this. Why can't I get the photo to show up again? Here we go. Your 89 CR250 is the winner of Rooster Endo. But Endo, the bike fully endoed because it's old. It is kind of a cool bike. It was a good bike. It's like, I'm not sure about the green number plate, not sure about your British flag, but you're gonna win the Taco Moto Rooster Endo $100 gift certificate. That's tacomoto.co. So send reply to the email that you sent me, and I will get back to you within the next week, and we will get you set up. I'll get that sent over to Taco Mike, and he will dial him in. And yeah, I've used the funnel web filters before, and like I said, I don't know. I mean, the idea is it has more surface area. And so I guess in really dusty conditions, evidently it's supposed to last a little bit longer before it would completely plug. I think that's the case. But yeah, Joe, be stoked. Tell a friend. Have all your friends send their bikes into Rooster Endo. I'm waiting for all my fire jumper friends that had a lot of really cool bikes to send their bikes in to Rooster Endo as well. But they have not done that, probably because they were all broken by the time they got back up to Idaho, because allegedly I worked on some of them. So we'll see how that works out. I'm looking at some of the questions that are popping up on some of the other chats and see what we have available to answer. Not a whole lot. Everybody's questions have pretty much been answered. It should be easy to, let's see, none in that group. Nope. And let's see, there's guys that are selling their bikes. There's a lot of bikes for sale right now. Everybody is, and a couple weeks ago, I answered every reason why your KTM is not working. Your KTM won't start. There was like 50 questions about this, and I answered all the reasons, which basically, it's that same old thing. Does it have gas? Is it getting spark? Does it have compression? Is it running? And just in different ways to do that. And there's no questions about KTM's running. Now they're all just for sale, which is really strange. So, well, this has been an amazing show, a very short show tonight because there's not a lot of questions. And when I don't have a co-host, I can't make up questions for myself. I can't remember half the stuff I do, and I try not to remember much of this show as we go along. So there we are. Thanks to Milagro Tequila for getting me through most of the show tonight. Thanks to Bulletproof Designs and Taco Moto and Climb for sure. Bulletproof Designs. Hey, and the guy that had the fake or the knockoff rear disc rotor, knock that off and get a real Bulletproof Designs one, by the way. Just telling you. Scott Goggles. I'm looking at all the stuff that's laying around on the floor here that I want to clean up and take out to the ride. The new Climb X1 Alpha helmet, which I want to go, it makes me, just having that helmet makes me want to go on an adventure ride, which since it's not raining out here, I'm probably going to go on an adventure ride pretty soon because I need some wet dirt therapy. Thanks everybody for chiming in. And let's see. Who do you, says Brooks Bodily. Who do you? And I don't know. Who do my wife? It's her birthday. So there we go. Thanks for the reply. And as always, a cheers. I think, Mark, you know what? You just won the question of the week. So if you're ever in Vegas, hit me up and we'll go do some go-karts. I got to check in to see how my sponsorship's coming along for the suspension service over there at Sportsman Cycles. Dirt stuff. He got here too late. That's right. Who do I like for? Why do the questions all come in when I say I'm going to close the show up? I get all excited because I can stop doing this right now. And then all the questions. Who do I like for Supercross this upcoming year? Shit. Like, I don't. I mean, I like Jet Lawrence because I love watching the kid ride, but I don't like that. It seems like he's that 10% better than everybody else without trying. So I think Jet Lawrence is the odds-on favorite for doing that. Huge shout out for posting them podcasts. Thanks. It's a lot of work. Tequila tasting and go-karts. Yes, Mark, but not in that order. It'd be go-karts then tequila tasting, or actually I just read it backwards because that's what I do. But yeah, I've got the private selection out here. we can do that. So okay, unless another question comes in the next 15 seconds, I'm gonna try to, because that's how long it takes me to figure out how to make this show go away. I was gonna read it. Was I gonna read Jerry's poetry, or I should save it for the next show? It's called. I'll tell you the name of the poem. Just get you. It's called "The Valley of Dirt," and you're gonna have to wait till the next show because I'm not ready to, because this one does not need to be read in the devil's voice, and I don't even have the right cadence. Maybe I could have Jerry call in and read it one of these times. You're just gonna have to wait. With that, am I gonna be around next week? Probably. Yeah, so we'll probably do the show again next week. I'll see if I can. I could probably get some really good people on the show next week and make it more interesting. So with that, everybody, happy birthday to my wife Heather, and you guys all go see yourselves out on the trail. So cheers.